Youthfulness and wisdom may confuse age as it pursues. And what does that mean? It means that a lot of times when we just hear a number of somebody's age, we immediately associate certain things with that. Now, in the last maybe 20, 30 years, I think we've kind of gotten away from that because we've seen people of older ages doing some things that we'd never associated that people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s would be doing. And we're seeing some really amazing things from young kids who are just these prodigies at a lot of different things. So it can confuse age because age is kind of, it's like a stereotype. You're a kid, you're only supposed to do this. You're an older person, you're only supposed to do this. And that's not always the truth. So when we're talking about youthfulness, being young at heart, there's an energy about that, being energetic. And normally we associate that with the better part of childlike energy, which means you can just keep going and going. It doesn't mean that it's necessarily reckless or without direction, but it just associates with, and we all know if you have kids or you've been around somebody else's kids, they can just go and go and go and go. And that's the beauty of being called youthful, because we associate that with the childlike sort of youth adventurous spirit. It's fun, it's curious, it's inquisitive. It wants to go out and conquer or discover. It wants to go out and imagine. It wants to go out and have these things that we're now seeing older people, again, who we didn't necessarily think were capable of doing these things, now doing these things. Mountain climbing, skydiving, doing triathlons, doing all of these wonderful things. And it's a really great thing to see. And that can confuse age, because age is looking at this like, wait a minute, you're supposed to be in a wheelchair. You're supposed to be sitting on the couch. You're supposed to be complaining about aches and pains and how the world isn't fair. You're supposed to be hunched over and all of these things. And while somebody might be in a wheelchair, while somebody might be hunched over or have arthritic pain and things like that, the youthfulness has them still outdoing it. And that's an amazing thing to see. When we flip to the other side and we're talking about the wisdom, and we will hear somebody be called wise beyond their years, which generally means you are a thinking person that is ahead of your time when it comes to levels of maturity that, again, are generally associated with the benefits of being an older person. You've lived a longer life, you've seen these experiences, but it doesn't always have to mean that you have to be older for that. So you can be intuitive, you can be knowledgeable, you can be mature, you can be stoic, you can be fair, you can be a lot of these things, rational, and you can be those at a younger age. It doesn't necessarily have to mean that you have to live a lot of years. The experiences that you take and have lived through, depending on how you process them, reflect upon them, and move forward with them and grow from them, will definitely speak to levels of being wise beyond one's years. Now, if you just choose to ignorantly not listen or not learn from it, well, that happens too, and that can certainly be the black eye of youth as well, because it's, what do we say? It's it doesn't benefit when it comes to kids not listening and things like that. So we want to make sure that we understand that you can certainly be wise beyond your years. You don't have to be at a certain age. Now, that wisdom at that point is only going to grow because real life experience certainly will give us more to be wise about. But you can certainly be wise for a 10-year-old. You can certainly be wise at 20. You can be wise at these ages because you've taken information, turned it into knowledge, and then really marinated that into wisdom. So in a smaller sample size, sure, it certainly can be. And I think that that's a special place to be. So again, when age is looking to stereotype a child and say, well, wait a minute, you're not supposed to be being able to do this or think like that or ask those questions, I don't think that that's necessarily right. And when we have wisdom like that, it can play itself out in a lot of ways. I don't know if it has to just be deep in thought. I think a child can be wise enough to know what they want to do early in life and really work hard, which is where you see these kids that are amazing musicians or athletes and things like that. And I don't mean just good for their age. I mean good at any level. And that's a special thing to see. So there can be wisdom locked into some of those things because it takes focus. It takes focus to be wise at times as well. And I think that's where a lot of these kids are being able to show that. So we really have to get away from these levels of ageism, whether it's on the older end, associating them only with being able to be wise, but not having a youthful exuberance to go out and do things physically, and certainly not trapping kids into saying, you're just a child, you can only think so much, go play with the ball, and not allowing them to expand their minds at an early age. So that's just my thoughts on that. I thought it was kind of just one of those things that I would bring up. What are your thoughts on that? I would love to hear what you guys have to say on that. A lot of us know that older person who is extremely youthful, and they can be wise as well, and so can the child. The child can be wise and youthful as they are. So it can go both ways, and you can have both, or a balance of 170-30. Who knows? But ace up the sleeve. Would love to hear what you guys have to say, and we all probably know one of those kids that are just somehow like a little deep for their age, and that's kind of a cool thing to see. Subscriptions to the channel are free. We'd love to have you share the content, and thumbs up or thumbs down. I won't be mad at you either way, but it does help the channel grow, and that's what the goal is here. So I hope this finds everybody in your place, pursuit, or beginnings of total health, mind, body, and soul. Peace, love, unity, solidarity, and of course, subscription, video, video, video. So stick around. And I would be remiss if I did not say something to my daughter, who is extremely wise and still youthful because she's turning 11 today. Love you.